Welcome to another episode of the HealthCast. I'm your host, Phil Zappone, where we explore healthcare and technology. I'm super excited to introduce our guest today, Claude Richardson. He's CEO and founder of Imperium Talent Solutions. Welcome, Claude.
Thank you very much, Phil. Thanks for having me.
Your expertise is in talent acquisition, right? Getting people, the right person for the right job.
That's exactly right.
Okay. And so we're going to focus our talk today on your skill set and in relation to what you're seeing in the healthcare industry. Tell us about your elevator pitch about what you do.
So I'm a recruiter at heart. When there is a open position at a hospital or long-term care facility like a nursing home, they will put in a job order so that agencies like mine can find a CNA, LPN, pharmacist, or what have you to work at that open position. We do full-time positions, and a lot of our positions are travel assignments. So they're what's called a contract for about 13 weeks. And so in a nutshell, that's how we operate, and that's what we focus on.
That's great. That's great. Tell us your career background, how you got started, and to the leading up to how you developed your company.
Sure. And so back in the day, I went to Rutgers University up in New Jersey. I got a degree in human resource management, and that was in 2015. And so from there, I was able to get a lot of great experiences. I had some internships, and I had a full-time position that was at Johnson & Johnson World Headquarters up in New Brunswick, New Jersey. There I got to learn the pharmaceutical industry, CPG industry, the industry where they make body parts at Synthes, like alternate knees, have you. Yes, thank you.
Very cool.
I thought that was awesome. And so I
I
was able
had one of those gentlemen on my show one time, and they went over, pardon me, and they said they described it as a combination of both, kind of like science and art is the long and short of it. It was very cool.
yes.
And personalizing things to each individual is very high end prosthetics. That's what he was involved in.
I thought it was super cool. It's super cool
Yeah.
that that's even a possibility. It gives
Yeah.
hope to patients. And so after I was able to get some really cool experiences at some interesting companies, then I was at the point where you might be familiar with recruiting, and a lot of professionals have one type of job that they do. They will be an LPN recruiter, or they'll be a technology recruiter, or an engineering recruiter, right? And so I have done technology, aerospace, pharmaceuticals. They're all different industries, and I could recruit all day with my hands tied, eyes closed. And so I wanted to have a bigger impact. I want to have more clients. I want to help more people. I want to bring jobs to our community. I want to help people who don't often get the chance to get a job, like felons or people who don't have a lot of education. And so you got to start somewhere. And so I
Sure.
started a firm, Imperial Talent Solutions, last year. And so I'm happy to say we've gotten a lot of new clients who are in the healthcare space right now. And we're working to get more nurses and more clinicians on assignment right now. And so that's a little bit about where I started and how I got to where I'm at today.
Yeah, that's great. Tell us about what separates Imperium Talent Solutions, say, from other recruiting agencies. What makes your business special?
I would say that there's a real focus on the nurses that we have to work for us, the healthcare professionals, because a lot of recruiters have a reputation for just corralling people into a job so that they could get the sale or close the deal. And so our agency is different because we will really work with the clinician to find out, is it a good situation that works for you? I don't want to send you to New Mexico to work on an assignment and you don't have transportation, like a plan for your transportation.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about everything that needs to be talked about so that you're supported in the
Excuse me.
2, 3 months while you're out there for that first assignment. And we're going to make sure that the money's right for you. There's no surprises. And we're
Hmm.
going to make sure that you're happy so that you can do the best job and make the patients happy. A lot of these facilities are so understaffed that the patients are waiting for clinicians to come back and take care of them. They don't see somebody that they're supposed to see on the floor every day. And so our facilities that have the patients that are taken care of by our clinicians seem to be very, very happy when our clinicians come around because they do great work, they take care of them, and it might be a harder patient load or a difficult type of patient, but Our clinicians are very professional, and I feel like the fact that they are well taken care of is where it all starts. That's what makes us different.
It sounds like I'm hearing this Imperium prioritizes partnerships and relationships. People first, not just making money, but people. Whether it's the kind of secondary, like impacting patient care, and the people that work for you or with you, you're prioritizing the people. That sounds awesome.
That's very right. That's well said. We are prioritizing the people over profits around here.
When did Imperium Solutions form? How long have you been in business?
A little less than a year. It was in March of 2025.
You've gone from recruiter to business owner and probably still recruiting. What are some successes and some challenges that you've encountered over this time?
Well, how much time do you have, good sir? Some challenges that we have faced are anywhere from lack of knowledge on what different facilities like to see in their candidates, what they
Yeah.
require for different positions. There are some things that I never considered before. I have some business partners who are very savvy. They've been in recruiting for a long time. I know there's a lot of healthcare facilities struggling out there, but I didn't know that it's gotten to the point where agencies like mine will do a credit check before we hire somebody to make sure that the healthcare facility can pay the bills in the short term and also for this traveler, who's coming in because recruiting is very expensive. I've learned, and that's one thing I want to say, there are challenges every single day, but you either win or you learn, if you ask me. And so that's why I'm saying, there are things that we've learned over the last few years rather than have been a challenge or places that we lost. So one more thing that comes to mind is that the holiday season just passed, December. A lot of people would like to get a job while they're off, or they put in applications in December. But a challenge is that a lot of people are not working. A lot of people are moving slow and during the holidays. So one way that we've overcome some of those challenges are to think proactively, and so we can recruit for positions that are open right now, a few weeks in the past or before they open. And so we've had a lot of wins by hiring a lot of people in these first 2, 3 weeks of January so far.
Yeah.
We were able to get clinicians placed out in different states. We've been able to implement new systems so that we can track candidates and follow up with them and review them a lot faster. So, there's some things that are challenging, but every day it seems like we're making strides towards more success and to eliminating those roadblocks. So it's been a very exciting road for me these last 10 months or so.
I love that attitude. You said win or learn. I thought that's a great way to approach things. That's great.
Thank you very much.
So one of the things that we touch upon on this podcast is how businesses are implementing technology, how receptive they are to technology, and how it's helping their job. You had mentioned, I'd like you to expand on that, and specifically, you had mentioned that you kind of have a unique approach to some things that you're having job offers, if you will, on TikTok. Is that right?
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
you expand
Yes.
on that?
Yeah. So I have been thinking, where are job seekers? What do they do? I have been unemployed myself. I love
Sure.
TikTok. When I was not working, I would sit on TikTok, kind of like and check it like the job, like the newspaper, like the
Yeah.
news every day. And so the reason that people without a job are on are on TikTok is because there's relatable content. It's funny, and the algorithm knows what you like, so it will, pull you in by showing you things that are relevant to you. And so that ties into what we're doing on TikTok because we're trying to get in front of the job seeker. We're trying to get our message out in a way that hasn't been done before.
Yeah.
And so I see a lot of companies will post jobs on Indeed.com, on LinkedIn.com. But if you ask a job seeker, have you gotten a job from LinkedIn or what's it like to get a job on LinkedIn? It's very frustrating. It's very discouraging because there are hundreds of applicants just when the job is posted. So taking that job description from a boring document to an engaging video, I think is yielding really good results. I just posted a TikTok yesterday saying that we need some LPNs, and I listed which states they are. I showed a pivot table. I had a song playing in the background. That's
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
more engaging than,
Yeah.
we are a health care company. We need an LPN. This is what an LPN does, right?
Yeah.
And so I think this is really important because in marketing, in recruitment marketing, you need to build a presence. That person, if you're going to convince them to give you sensitive information like a resume, if you're going to convince somebody to leave the job they have and get another job, it's much easier if they know you in a sense or they feel like they've seen you more than once. If
Yeah.
I call you out of the blue and say, Phil, hey man, you don't know me, but I have this job for you. You're going to be doing what you do every day. Like, all right, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Call me later, Claude. But if I made you laugh yesterday with a funny joke, you saw me dancing,
Work.
right? And then I brought you to the run club tomorrow. And
Yeah.
then on Thursday, I talk about, and by the way, I have these jobs, and then go back to telling jokes. I think the people who are watching are a lot more engaged. They're a lot more
Yeah.
likely to send it to a friend. They're a lot more
Building
likely
rapport.
to pick their friend up off the couch and be like, hey, listen, I know you've been sending me funny videos every day, but look at this video with a job for you.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited about bringing recruitment into the 21st century in regards to technology,
Very
especially
cool.
healthcare.
Let's say I'm on TikTok. I see a job that in your world, I see a job that I'm interested in. Then what do I do? Is there a link for me to click on something or to contact you? Or
There's more than one way to get involved. You can leave a comment on a TikTok. You
yeah,
can send me a direct message on TikTok. You are
I
viewing
don't.
my
I'm not a TikToker, so maybe these things are obvious. But go ahead.
That's okay. That's okay.
Thanks.
We
Yeah.
gotta start somewhere, and that's
Yeah.
something that I had to learn as well. If I post a TikTok, then you can swipe from right to left and view my profile so that you can view other videos that I have. And on my profile, I have my email, I have my phone number, and you can also view other videos and links to my other pages. And so you can send me a direct message, leave a comment, or find my contact info on my profile.
So whereas other ways might be cumbersome or convoluted and whatnot and overrun, yours maybe is a little bit more expedited and you're available. And so someone finds a job and they just one way or another they get a hold of Claude and say, "Hey, that was really cool. How do I learn more?" Is that about it?
That's about it.
That's
And
cool,
what
man.
I'll say, Phil, is that I think a lot of people will like that because when you put an application in, there's a bad reputation for never hearing anything back. It's a black box. And so social media is a lot more interactive. It's built for that.
Yeah, that's great. I want to shift our attention back to healthcare. And I was joking with staff the other day. I'm a former ER nurse, and I always felt like emergency medicine gives you a very unique look at at a person's community.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just things going on that people have no idea about, that kind of thing. And there's a bunch of stories there and whatnot. Anyway, I imagine as a recruiter, and maybe you might sit in the middle of the employer and the employee, and you're getting a unique look at what's going on in the healthcare industry. And in this podcast, I speak with physicians, inventors, engineers, entrepreneurs, people who've developed a cool product when they saw a need. Share some insight on things that are either reassuring or uncomfortable that you're seeing. We're understaffed there's a lot of work out there, limited resource, limited people, limited number of nurses and LPNs and docs. And can you shed some light on what you're seeing from your perspective as a recruiter?
Certainly, certainly. This is a trend that has been consistent for a long time. I've been seeing that there are many more jobs, probably twice as many the last time I checked, than there are people to even work in the healthcare industry. And so that's a big ongoing problem. And that can't be fixed with, something like creating a new position. However, it can be a band-aid. And I bring that up because I've seen that a lot recently. So instead of companies focusing on trying to throw money at hiring more LPNs, more nurses, more clinicians. They are thinking about how to get creative on expanding the capabilities of the clinicians that they have. And so I've seen that with robots in the hospital and the ER. I've seen
Yeah,
that with remote positions like remote monitor tech. I've
yeah.
seen that with different ways to staff. There's an app now where clinicians can go onto and do one shift at a time or a bundle of shifts. Med, and there's a few other ones that are gaining
Mhm.
popularity. And so that's, three examples of technology that I've seen in regards to how companies are trying to get around this understaffed problem. And so I think the technology that's coming around is actually really cool.
That's great. That's great. Sounds like, maybe more or less the same workload here, but we're dividing it up differently. approaching it differently. You had mentioned, with some remote patient monitoring, some of those responsibilities fall to whether it's nurses or docs, and it's not all in the cute, maybe person to person setting, but it's still this care that has to be addressed.
That's the thing, the newest generation that is getting older are the baby boomers, and they are the biggest generation in the US right now. And
Yeah.
so the patient volumes are getting higher and higher as they get older and older. At the same time, the nurses in the workforce are starting to roll off, they're starting to retire, and there's not enough nurses coming into the workforce to even replace them. And so the workload is getting bigger while the workforce is getting smaller. And
Okay.
so the demand for these nurses is really, really high. And I think that's driving the technological push as
Yeah.
well as some of the other challenges we're seeing in healthcare today.
I have a guest scheduled later who has a product called, and I'm just learning about it still, but just the name gives you a lot of information. It's called Beat Down Burnout. And I'm hearing that word burnout a lot. What I'm hearing are countermeasures to this. And I think you're saying that some of the healthcare workers are overwhelmed or exhausted.
They are definitely burnt out, Phil.
Yeah.
A lot of people talk to me about, nursing is a very heavy job. You know, you're dealing with people who are sick. Somebody could die while you're at work on a shift.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
somebody who you have gotten to know many times. It's
Yeah.
somebody who is, they have family members and all those emotions that come with it in the facility, and there's some nurses who have so many patients. It's like that could happen and you're expected to take your 5 minutes and clean up in the bathroom and then go back to work. And so I don't know anybody who is built for that. Anybody who is wants to do something like that. You know what I'm saying? And so these nurses are burnt out not only physically from working all the time, but emotionally trying to be a regular person and then witness what's going on every day in healthcare and deal with emotions and everything that comes with that.
I've been an RN for close to 20 years and a nurse practitioner for close to 10. And being that my RN license continues, and I don't like it when I feel just through scheduling and I'm happy to. I work in a small rural hospital. I'm happy to be engaged and support my community members. I don't like it when I feel like I have to deliver. I call it fast food medicine. I'm not into that. It's not
Right.
how I want to be treated. It's not how I want to treat a patient. And sometimes that's the way the day unfolds, but it's not ideal in my world. I'm in primary care, so
Yeah.
I can think of patients where I've been in a deep conversation and we're out of time and someone's waiting in another room and it's not how it's supposed to be.
I know, I know. Sometimes when I go to the doctor, it feels like I am trying to write down all my questions because I
Yeah.
know like 5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes with me. It's like before they even finish answering the question, I'm like, okay, next. I got this one and this one and this one.
Yeah.
So I can relate with that too, Phil.
Get it. Tell me, I'm gonna ask you one personally on, well, the intersection of business and who you are as a person. Tell me a little bit about your purpose as a man, as it and how that overlaps or impacts your career and your work with Imperium Solutions.
Certainly. So I am a really altruistic person. I love to help people. When I was in school, I liked math, but science, I like conceptually. I wasn't very good at being tested and quizzed on it. And so what I'm really good at is networking. I'm really good at making friends. I've lived in 6 different states. And so that is something that you have to get good at. And so I think recruiting really fits my personality because you're always talking to somebody new, always meeting somebody different. And you get to ask them questions and learn about them. I feel like recruitment is a really good fit for me in terms of my day to day job. And so, since that's my skill, I want to use that to make the biggest impact possible. My purpose is really to give back. And I like recruiting because one, you're able to help somebody who is looking for a job. That could be life changing. That changes their family dynamics, that changes their income, that could change their social status. It's a big
Mhm.
deal. Me giving away money and jobs, I think is the best job ever. People are excited when I come around. They call me, to talk about work. And
Yeah.
so being in recruiting is really cool, but a way that I could stack the return on, all of my effort is to recruit for different clients. And so I like recruiting for healthcare because I am not taking care of the patient directly, but I can have a big impact on how patients are being taken care of at a certain facility if I'm able to help them get one more person or five more people or get to staff level. I'm
Yeah.
able to help out families who don't even know what goes into, having their
Yeah.
grandmother at the nursing home and, now they have enough people who work there. And so
Yeah.
she has a better week. She has a better life while she's in there. And
Yeah.
then thirdly, recruitment is the gatekeeper into companies. And so a lot of my diversity and inclusion work starts in the recruiting arena. So getting more people who are not the overwhelming gender into one type of job, getting people who are underrepresented in their race or their ethnicity into another type of job, finding somebody who can translate because you're traveling to an area that's in a certain community. Maybe they all
Hmm.
speak another language, right? And so bridging those gaps and making sure that people feel included, equitable, and like they belong, then that's really important to me. And so recruiting is like a triple whammy, if you ask me. I'm able to help candidates get a new job. I'm able to help companies who have an open position. It's a really a problem for them. I'm able to do diversity and inclusion. And I think that's really awesome. And then I'm able to give back to the community, and so that's really what I do. That's my purpose and why I get up and do recruiting every day.
I love that answer. That's awesome, Claude. Yeah, man.
Thank you
Need more people with that focus. That's fantastic.
much.
Yeah. So wrapping things up, I got a couple more for you. I know you're a busy guy. Tell me how the future looks for Imperium Solutions.
This is going to be a really exciting year. Yeah. So we're trying to get as many people hired as we possibly can. I have hundreds of jobs that are open right now. And so we are looking for clinicians who want to take travel assignments. And we're looking for people who are licensed in different states. CNA, LPN are the lion's share of our jobs. We have positions like nurse practitioner. We do locums traveling. We have pharmacists and allied health positions as well. So if you know occupational therapists or CT techs, then
Sure.
please have them call me and we can have that conversation on what their career is going to look like next.
Where can people go to learn more about you and your services? What's the best way?
People can reach out to me on TikTok. My handle is at Claude the Recruiter. My first name is Claude, it's spelled Claude. On there, you can find more information about what we're doing and reach out to me directly. I will respond. I will get back to you on there.
That's fantastic. And we'll put some links on our podcast for some information for those to contact you as well, website and whatnot.
Awesome. I really appreciate that, Phil.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us today, Claude. It was fantastic hearing your perspective on recruitment and healthcare. And I really appreciate you spending some time with us.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the invite, Phil. And I'm really excited to hear the episode come out.
Absolutely. I'll get a hold of you when it's ready. Yeah. Thanks so much. Thanks for joining us again for another episode of the HealthCast. I hope you enjoyed it and stay tuned for our next episodes. Peace.